Through the crystal-clear canopy of his Focke-Wulf 190A5, Oberleutnant Rolf Herrmann couldn't contain his amusement. The veteran ace of Jagdgeschwader 26 watched the bulky American fighters struggling upward through the thin air. "The Americans have sent us flying milk bottles," he radioed to his wingman, his voice thick with contempt. Below, 16 P-47C Thunderbolts of the 4th Fighter Group clawed for altitude, their massive 2,000 horsepower engines fighting against 7 tons of metal and fuel. To German pilots who had danced with nimble Spitfires and Soviet fighters, these barrel-shaped American machines looked almost absurd. Oversized fuselages crowned with bubble canopies, stubby wings that seemed inadequate for their bulk, and propellers larger than anything the Luftwaffe had ever mounted. What Herrmann and his fellow hunters didn't realize was that they were witnessing the birth of their own destruction. Within 18 months, these flying milk bottles would transform into the most feared weapons in European skies. Hidden in those broad wings was devastating mathematics: 3,400 rounds of ammunition, firing at 6,000 rounds per minute, enough concentrated violence to saw a Messerschmitt in half in under 2 seconds. The P-47 emerged from desperation. In June 1940, as German fighters swept across France, Alexander Kartvili, Republic Aviation's Georgian-born genius, received urgent specifications from the U.S. Army Air Corps. They wanted a high-altitude interceptor capable of matching the Luftwaffe's finest. Kartvili gave them something unprecedented. "It will be a dinosaur," he admitted to his team, "but it will be a dinosaur with good proportions." When the XP-47B prototype first flew on May 6, 1941, it shocked observers. At 9,900 pounds empty, it weighed 65% more than its predecessor. The enormous turbo-supercharger system, with its complex ducting snaking through the rear fuselage, gave it an almost pregnant appearance. Test pilots invariably asked the same question: "This thing actually flies?" It didn't just fly, it flew like nothing else at altitude. The Pratt & Whitney R2800 double wasp engine, an 18-cylinder radial beast producing 2,000 horsepower, maintained full power at 27,000 feet, where German fighters gasped for air. The first combat encounters confirmed every German prejudice. The P-47s couldn't turn with the Focke-Wulf 190s, couldn't climb with the Messerschmitt 109s, couldn't match their nimble handling at medium altitudes. Luftwaffe pilots quickly developed tactics to exploit these weaknesses. Hauptmann Josef Pips Priller, commanding officer of JG-26, reported to headquarters with confidence: "The new American fighter is meat for the slaughter. It flies like a truck, turns like a freight train, and climbs like a pregnant cow. Our boys are calling them Indiana, fat targets pretending to be warriors." The statistics seem to confirm German confidence. In their first month, American fighter groups lost 14 Thunderbolts for only 3 confirmed kills. The RAF, observing from their Spitfire squadrons, quietly suggested the Americans reconsider their choice. But something strange was happening that German intelligence failed to notice. The P-47s that were shot down had absorbed incredible punishment before falling. One aircraft returned from a May 4th mission with 21 cannon holes and over 100 machine gun strikes, damage that would have disintegrated a Messerschmitt or Spitfire. The event that would change everything occurred on June 26, 1943, over Lyon, France. Second Lieutenant Robert S. Johnson's Thunderbolt was caught in a devastating attack by Focke-Wulf 190s from JG-26. 21 20mm cannon shells exploded across his aircraft. The canopy shattered, hydraulic fluid sprayed into the cockpit, the engine cowling tore away, and fire erupted behind the instrument panel. Johnson, wounded and bleeding, tried to bail out. The canopy was jammed, welded shut by an exploding shell. He was trapped in a dying aircraft at 27,000 feet. What happened next defied physics. Despite catastrophic damage, Johnson leveled the aircraft and pointed it toward England. The P-47 continued flying with wounds that would have reduced any other fighter to falling debris. Then a lone Focke-Wulf 190 discovered the crippled Thunderbolt limping homeward. The German pilot positioned himself perfectly and opened fire with his entire armament. Johnson could only huddle behind his armor plate. The P-47 absorbed the full cannon load. The German repositioned and fired again, this time only machine guns, his cannon ammunition exhausted. Still, it flew. The German pilot pulled alongside, staring in disbelief at the flying wreck. Johnson could see his face clearly, young, blonde, his expression shifting from confidence to confusion to something approaching fear. The German emptied his remaining machine gun ammunition into the Thunderbolt. It flew. Still, the German pilot shook his head in apparent amazement, gave an informal salute, and peeled away. Johnson's P-47 landed at Manston with its engine failing on the runway. The crew chief stopped counting holes after reaching 200. 3 of the 4 main longerons, the structural backbone of the fuselage, were shot through, yet the aircraft had brought him home. By July 1943, American pilots were discovering the P-47's true strengths. Lieutenant Colonel Hubert Zemke, commanding the 56th Fighter Group, had cracked the code through brutal trial and error. Don't turn with them. Don't climb with them at low altitude. Use your weight. Use your power. Use your guns. The Thunderbolt's massive weight became a weapon. In a dive, nothing could catch it. From 30,000 feet, a P-47 could reach 550 miles per hour, faster than any German fighter could achieve even in a vertical dive. This speed converted to altitude in a zoom climb that left pursuing fighters helplessly behind. Captain Walker Bud Mahurin developed what became known as the boom and zoom tactic. Instead of traditional dogfights, P-47 formations would climb to 30,000 feet, higher than German fighters could effectively operate. When Luftwaffe fighters appeared below, the Thunderbolts would roll inverted and dive, reaching speeds that made deflection shooting impossible. At the bottom of these dives, the American heavy machine guns spoke. German pilots who survived described it as facing a wall of lead. The combined firepower created an impenetrable zone of destruction. Aircraft caught in this convergence pattern didn't just fall, they disintegrated. The August 17, 1943 dual raid on Schweinfurt and Regensburg demonstrated the P-47's terrifying effectiveness. Major David Schilling's flight of 4 Thunderbolts encountered a formation of Messerschmitt 110 destroyer aircraft positioning to attack B-17s. Schilling's Thunderbolts rolled into attack from 28,000 feet. Unteroffizier Hinrich Roth, a gunner in one of the Me-110s who survived, later recalled, "The American fighters came down like hammers from heaven. I opened fire at 800 meters. Good hits. I saw them strike the fighter's wing. The P-47 didn't even wobble. Then he fired. The aircraft ahead of us simply came apart. Not shot down, destroyed. Wings separated from fuselage. Tail severed. The crew compartment shredded into metal confetti. In 2 seconds, a 110 became nothing." By September 1943, the Luftwaffe discovered another horrifying reality. The P-47's performance improved dramatically with altitude, while German fighters suffered. The turbo-supercharged double wasp engine maintained rated power up to 30,000 feet. German fighters relying on mechanical superchargers saw performance degrade significantly above 25,000 feet. Oberlieutenant Hans Philipp, one of Germany's most successful aces with 206 victories, encountered this reality fatally on October 8, 1943, leading JG-1 against a B-17 formation at 28,000 feet. Philipp found his Focke-Wulf sluggish in the thin air. When P-47s of the 56th Fighter Group dove on his formation from 32,000 feet, the Germans were sitting ducks. Robert Johnson, now an experienced combat pilot, was flying at 31,000 feet when he spotted Philipp's distinctive Focke-Wulf. His combat report was clinical. Opened fire at 300 yards, 30-degree deflection. Observed strikes along entire fuselage. Enemy aircraft exploded. No parachute observed. Philipp's death sent shockwaves through the Luftwaffe. If one of their best couldn't survive against the Thunderbolts, what chance did average pilots have? In January 1944, a new variant began arriving that would complete the transformation. The P-47 D-22 featured a Hamilton Standard hydromatic propeller with paddle blades, 13 feet in diameter, with broad chord blades that bit into the air like massive oars. The improvement was immediate and dramatic. Where earlier Thunderbolts climbed at an anemic 2,200 feet per minute, paddle blade variants achieved 3,000 feet per minute, matching or exceeding German fighters at most altitudes. The paddle blade propeller also changed the sound. The distinctive thundering roar created by blade tips reaching supersonic speeds could be heard from miles away. German ground troops could identify approaching P-47s by sound alone, a deep, threatening rumble that meant death from above. By March 1944, P-47s equipped with external fuel tanks could escort bombers deep into Germany. The Luftwaffe's response was to concentrate on the bombers, but this required flying through the P-47 escort screen, an increasingly suicidal proposition. Major Gerhard Barkhorn, one of Germany's top aces with 275 victories, mostly on the Eastern Front, survived an encounter with P-47s on March 6, 1944 that left him badly wounded. He later recalled, "We saw them above us, fat silhouettes against the sun. Someone laughed and said, 'Here come the flying pigs.' Nobody was laughing 30 seconds later. They came down like an avalanche, faster than we could react. The first pass destroyed 3 of our fighters, just gone, transformed into burning debris. Their guns didn't fire in bursts like ours. They poured out solid streams of fire. Getting caught in that stream meant instant death." Oberst Hans von Luck, commanding the 125th Panzer Grenadier Regiment during the Normandy campaign, experienced P-47 ground attacks firsthand. Came in low, so low you could see the pilots' faces. The sound was terrifying. Engines roaring, rockets screaming, then the hammer of those heavy machine guns. A column of our trucks simply ceased to exist. 20 vehicles transformed into burning wreckage in one pass. The psychological effect on the men was devastating. On June 6, 1944, the Luftwaffe discovered how completely the balance of power had shifted. Over 500 P-47s provided air cover for the invasion, creating an impenetrable umbrella over the beaches. German fighters attempting to reach the landing zones were massacred. Oberleutnant Wolfgang Fischer of JG-2, one of only 3 German pilots to reach the beaches that day, reported, "The sky belonged to the Americans. Thunderbolts were stacked from sea level to 30,000 feet. We tried to break through at dawn. 12 fighters from our Group A. I was the only one to return. The P-47s were waiting at every altitude. You couldn't climb over them, couldn't dive under them. Their guns turned our fighters into aluminum rain." In the weeks following D-Day, P-47s systematically destroyed German movement in daylight. The statistics were staggering. In June alone, 9th Air Force Thunderbolts claimed 651 locomotives, 3,847 trucks, 512 tanks and armored vehicles, and 4,553 horse-drawn vehicles destroyed. The Wehrmacht was forced to move only at night, severely hampering their ability to respond to Allied advances. On November 27, 1944, Lieutenant Colonel John C. Meyer of the 352nd Fighter Group became one of the first pilots to shoot down an Me-262 with a P-47. Perhaps the ultimate vindication came in encounters with German jet fighters. The Messerschmitt Me-262, with its 540-mile-per-hour top speed, should have been untouchable by propeller-driven fighters, but Thunderbolt pilots discovered they could catch jets during takeoff and landing and in high-speed dives from altitude. Meyer's combat report noted, "The enemy aircraft disintegrated under fire. Large pieces, including both engines, separated from the fuselage. The pilot did not escape. The concentrated fire of 8.5 caliber guns proved more effective than we anticipated against jet aircraft." The ultimate demonstration of American industrial might came during Operation Bodenplatte, the Luftwaffe's desperate attempt to destroy Allied air power on January 1, 1945. Nearly 900 German fighters launched surprise attacks on Allied airfields across Belgium and the Netherlands. At Y-34 Airfield near Metz, home to the 365th Fighter Group's P-47s, the attack initially succeeded. German fighters destroyed 22 Thunderbolts on the ground. Major George Brooking's response became legendary. He pointed to the flight line where ground crews were already pushing damaged aircraft aside. "By tomorrow, we'll have 40 new ones. How long will it take you to replace your pilots?" The German pilot's smirk disappeared. Within 48 hours, factory-fresh P-47 D-40s filled the flight line. The Luftwaffe lost 271 aircraft and 213 pilots in Bodenplatte, losses they could never replace. The Americans lost 134 aircraft total across all attacked airfields,
all replaced within a week. The numbers told the story of inevitable defeat. Republic Aviation produced 15,683 P-47s during the war, more than any other American fighter. At peak production, the Farmingdale factory on Long Island completed one Thunderbolt every hour, around the clock. Each P-47D-40 required 65,000 individual parts, 8 miles of electrical wiring, 2,000 pounds of aluminum, and 300 pounds of rubber. Yet American workers, many of them women who had never seen an aircraft before Pearl Harbor, assembled these complex machines with precision exceeding peacetime standards. In March 1945, Oberleutnant Josef Priller, the same pilot who had mocked the P-47s as pregnant cows 2 years earlier, was interviewed by German propaganda officials. His statement, deemed too demoralizing for publication, revealed the complete transformation in German attitudes. The Thunderbolt is the best fighter bomber ever built. Its firepower is unprecedented. Weapons that never jam, never overheat, never run out of ammunition in normal combat. It carries bombs like a medium bomber, fires rockets like artillery, and fights like a fighter when needed. But beyond the machine is what it represents: unlimited American production. They lose 10, they build 20. We lose one, it's gone forever. Their pilots arrive better trained than our instructors. They have fuel for training, ammunition for practice, spare parts for everything. We have nothing but courage. And courage without resources is just delayed defeat. We laughed at them in 1943. We're not laughing now. When you hear those guns, you know death has come calling. The sound haunts you. Mechanical, precise, unstoppable. Like everything American, it's about overwhelming material superiority. They didn't beat us through better tactics or braver pilots. They buried us on an avalanche of steel and lead. The final statistics defied comprehension. 3,752 German aircraft destroyed in aerial combat, 3,315 aircraft destroyed on the ground, 86,000 railway cars destroyed, 9,000 locomotives destroyed, 6,000 armored fighting vehicles destroyed, 68,000 trucks destroyed. The 9th Air Force alone flew 213,873 combat sorties, dropped 120,000 tons of bombs, fired 135 million rounds of ammunition, and launched 60,000 rockets. At a 1985 reunion of German and American fighter pilots in Phoenix, Arizona, General Lieutenant Adolf Galland, former head of the Luftwaffe fighter arm, was asked about the P-47. His response captured the complete transformation. "We made a terrible mistake in 1943. We saw this big, heavy fighter and laughed. The Americans don't understand air combat," we said. "They built a bomber and called it a fighter. We were the ones who didn't understand. The Americans didn't try to build a European fighter. They built an American one, designed around production, firepower, and survivability. They understood that in a war of attrition, the plane that could take punishment and deliver devastating firepower would win. They were right. The first time I flew a captured P-47 after the war, I understood everything. The power was incredible. The cockpit was comfortable. The controls precise. It was a pilot's aircraft wrapped in armor. But what really impressed me was realizing that America built over 15,000 of these complex machines while fighting a two-ocean war. Each one required an engine more complex than anything Germany produced, yet they built them faster than we could build simple fighters. That's when I knew we never had a chance. Those guns, we called them Roosevelt's piano because of the sound they made. Once you heard that sound, you never forgot it. Many of my friends heard it for the last time. The P-47 didn't just defeat the Luftwaffe, it destroyed it. The thunder had spoken, and the sky belonged to America.